All right, y'all. Who wants to run us through our breathing exercise? Who remembers that from Boss Camp?
I do. I'll do it.
Please set us up. Tell us how we need to be sitting and everything.
All right. I'm gonna step on my chair. All right. Everybody, I'm doing this. All right, putting on some pants. Everybody sit up straight. Let me see. Sit up straight. Breathe in slow. Breathe out slow. Breathe in slow. Breathe out slow. Breathe in slow. Breathe out slow. How many times you want me to do it?
Good. That's good. You feel meditated? You feel calm, collected, present?
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Jordan. All right, y'all. 3 things you're grateful for this morning. I'm gonna let y'all just go ahead and share. Give me 3 things you're extremely grateful today, this past week, in life.
Hey, I got you, Tillman.
Okay.
Oh. All right. I'm grateful for God waking me up this morning. Also thankful for my family being in good health, and also thankful for me being in good health myself and having control of all my limbs. I'm not in the hospital or nothing. Just me being healthy.
And you're older, you've been in that program for a minute, you need to be a pioneer and set the example for the younger. I hear the younger ones in there.
Yeah, just go ahead.
My camera isn't working.
Now you're an appreciative.
But I'm thankful for my me getting good classes for my school, and my family.
Yes, sir. Who's next? Come on, y'all. Remember how we did at the Boss Camp?
I'll go. I'm grateful for good health. I'm grateful for opportunities that I've been given this lifetime. And I'm grateful for this God waking me up this morning.
Sure.
I'm thankful for the shoes on my feet, the clothes on my back, and the food that I get to eat.
I'm thankful for my computer so I can go to school in the morning. I'm thankful for my parents helping me out with school, and making sure I have everything I need for it. I'm thankful for my boss for helping us have this meeting.
Hey man, I'm thankful for a new day. Thank you for my parents, and thankful that I'm healthy.
I'm thankful for my family, that they're still healthy and God's been protecting I and them. I'm thankful for food on my table, and I'm thankful for a good first week of school.
I'm thankful for. Wait, you can go.
All right. Thankful for waking up this morning. My parents waking up. I'm also thankful for my parents, paying for me to go to school.
I'm thankful for the Wi-Fi so I can be on this meeting. I'm thankful for food, and I'm thankful for waking up this morning.
Yes, sir. Name some individuals, y'all. Who y'all thankful for in your families, your communities?
My mom.
Yes, sir.
100%.
I'm thankful for Mr. Glenn that he takes time out of his day to help us and just show us some love, because I know that he had someone in his life to help him and guide him, and not all of us do, but now we do because we got Mr. Glenn.
We like to hear.
Absolutely. You're on mute, Mr. Glenn.
What you say, Jordan? You say I take some time out of my day. I appreciate you, man. You guys, my whole day is you guys. you know.
My man retired working overtime for y'all.
We talk about y'all on the phone every day.
Anybody else? Anything else that we're grateful for?
I'm thankful for everyone who works to bring boss together and to help all of us grow as people.
Now, I know, Keenan. I know you didn't get your homework. You didn't Google Clark, and you got some questions ready, right, Keenan?
Yeah.
You seen that little baby hook with McHale and Bird?
Say it again.
The little baby hook Clark made with McHale and Bird on it.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
On the picture, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's the real deal. Them two Hall of Famers, right?
All right.
Yeah, he would have been a Hall of Famer but for an injury.
I'm grateful for the team, again, who puts boss together, all the coaches. Grateful for Everett. I'm grateful for you guys. We see the families growing every day. We got some new faces on here. But it's really incredible to see all of y'all growth over the years. Jordan looking like a grown man. Jason looking like a grown man now. You feel me? Jacob, you really looking old now. You look like you in your 30s.
Jacob's gonna stop playing soccer, man. He's gonna just go model. That's all he's gonna do. He's gonna stop playing soccer. He's just gonna model.
Yeah, man. Just grateful for all of y'all. Can anyone tell us or remind us why we should do these things in the morning? Why we should list things we're grateful for? The importance of it?
So we can keep track of everything that's helping us and stay healthy mentally, and just to be grateful and just look back on, reflect.
Absolutely. I think Jason, Jordan, you guys were saying something too?
Yeah, to stay humble and to never take stuff for granted no more, just to keep yourself in a good body and not to think you're bigger than what you are.
Yeah. It's just to wake up in the morning and start with a positive vibe, because a lot of people wake up in the morning and like they said, they're thinking about stuff that happened yesterday or the day before that. And you just want to wake up and clear your mind and think about stuff that's good happening, because we tend to focus on the bad stuff in life a lot. And that's not how you want to start your day at all.
Absolutely.
Preach.
And so I think we got some new faces in here. Anybody want to introduce themselves?
My mic is already off. I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Caleb Conant. I'm a second-year student at OCC. I study sports management. I'm new here. I'm glad to be here, work with all the mentors, work with you guys. I'm excited to work with y'all. So yeah, I'm always available. You always get in contact with me if y'all ever need any help. My name is Caleb again, so I just wanted to say hi and meet you guys.
Excellent. Welcome, Caleb.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome, Caleb.
Appreciate it.
I'm Malachi. I'm a fourth year from Oberlin College. I study law, and I was invited by Mr. Glenn, and I'm happy to be here.
I'm Jaden. I'm 13 years old. I'm in 8th grade, and I'm new to this, and I also play football.
Excellent.
So Jaden, you're not new to, are you, Jaden?
Yes, I am.
This is your first call?
Yes.
Oh.
This is Jaden Crowder.
What did you say?
What's your last name?
Crowder.
Jaden Crowder.
Okay.
Welcome.
Family, man.
Excellent.
Can I ask him a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
How's the college experience? Because I know two of you guys said you're in second year or fourth year. How is the college experience at the college that you go to?
I'll go ahead and answer that. For me, it's cool. It's a community college, so it's a little bit different than a 4-year, the experience that you would get. But going to a community college, you expect it to be boring. That's what I expected it to be like, and it really wasn't. Community college really helped me out. It's fun. I mean, it was a pretty good experience for me. I'm glad I went to community college, and then to transfer to a 4-year because I'll be able to experience like both. So, I mean,
That's what's
it's pretty fun. You should be looking forward to it.
That's what's up.
Hey, my name is Aaron. I'm sorry, my mom just made me wake up and then gave me this computer. All right, so let me turn my video on. My name is Aaron. Sorry if I look bad, but I have a question for you, Caleb. So, not Caleb. I wanted to add on to that because I'm a dual enrollment student. So I'm in high school and I'm taking college classes.
Okay.
I'm getting credit for both. And I was gonna say, if you were like a freshman in high school, you could start taking college courses and still getting early college credits. That way you have to take less semesters and pay less money. So it's a good thing to do if you have. Yeah.
And especially now that everything's online, y'all, it's more easy and more available than ever, right? I should add in one more online course to your already online schedule and getting ahead of the game. That way you can spend your time in college doing more of the things that you love and not necessarily having to worry about the requirement, moderately boring classes you're going to have to take. So definitely a good look. Absolutely. And I think we got another coach, Noah. You want to introduce yourself?
What's up, y'all? My name is Noah Gordon. I'm an academic coach. I'm new. I'm a first-year master's student at CSULB. I graduated with my undergrad with communication studies with a classical studies minor. I'm from Long Beach. I went to Poly High, and I used to play baseball.
Sir.
Sir.
So we got Dylan. We got Morgan. What's up, Bobby? What's up, Mr.
Yeah, we got the camp OGs on the call. We got Bobby and Marvin Bishop on the call.
Hey, we got Bobby and Marvin in the house.
Hey, Atoba and Daniel, how you doing?
Hey.
How you doing, Mr. Franklin?
Doing great, doing great. Every day is a great day.
Yes, sir. Is Marvin on right now? There he is.
Yeah.
Marvin.
I'm great, man. Come on, I'm all right. I don't do all right. I don't do the all right deal. Come on, man.
You got a word for us for today? Something that we can go on in this meeting thinking about?
Hey, my word is this. Work on your business and you make a living. Work on yourself and you can make a fortune.
Go ahead. Now you philosophizing. Go ahead.
That's my deal. Come on. Come on, man. Yes, sir.
And then for the relatively newer people here, can somebody who, is a boss veteran kind of explain what boss is, what we do, what we stand for, give them a little synopsis of our organization.
Wait, Marvin Bishop, can you say that one more time for me?
Oh, what I just said? I don't know. If you missed it, it's gonna cost you, man. It's gonna cost you.
He said.
Go ahead. Somebody took notes. Go ahead. Tell him.
He said, if you work on your business, you'll make like $1 million. But if you work on yourself, you'll make a fortune.
No.
Okay.
If you work on your business, you'll make a living. If you work on yourself, you'll make a fortune.
Okay. You could.
Okay, let him know, y'all.
You could. Right.
I'm going to write that down. That's the.
Why you take notes? My man went straight for the money, Everett.
Yeah, he's got $1 million.
He
was reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. He
messed
remember.
around. He went for the money.
Where you going, Jordan? You going to explain? Oh, he dipped out real quick. I know he's back. He got his notebook.
Got the notebook. Got the notebook out.
See, looks like some things from Boss Camp fell through. We got people really on point. Jordan, were you gonna tell us a little bit about Boss? Was that what I thought I saw you about to talk?
So this whole program is basically just like its name, business of sport. It's business of success beyond sports. So basically, it's just about being not an athlete student, but a student athlete. So we try to focus more on being better in school and and he tried to show us, and what's the word I'm trying to think? I can't think of the word, so I'm just say show us. But he tries to show us there's other paths than just sports. Because as growing up and like you live in the hood or whatever, you think the only way to get out is sports. But he shows us there's another way. So he comes.
That's right.
He brings
That's
people
right.
in that used to play sports that stopped and that made a business or made something of themselves, even if sports wasn't able. Like I forgot his name. I think he was playing sports and got hurt, and then he started to do music, and it really took him off. Like
Harvey Mason Jr.
Okay, yeah, that's his name. But he just wants to. Oh yeah, give us exposure. That's the word I want to say. Give us exposure to other things other than just sports.
That's right.
That there's things behind sports. Like you might think you're making a lot of money being a player in a basketball team, but you can own the team and make even more money.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Go.
Thank you, Jordan.
Sounds like he got it down.
And then who can give us a little overview on what the boss pillars are, the foundations on which we stand on?
Ooh.
Wow.
It's the money shot.
Question.
Remember, y'all trying to
step up.
Y'all trying to get Xboxes today. Y'all might as well go ahead and show up.
Hey, I think I got it. So you got economically boss, right? Spiritually boss.
Okay.
Mentally boss. Physically boss. Spiritually boss, and then come on, one more. Isn't it one more?
Yeah. Starts with an S.
I got all of them, right?
Starts with an S. No, you got one more.
Spiritually.
No, there's another one with an S.
There's another one?
Socially.
Socially.
There we go.
Yes, sir. And then can each of y'all just go ahead and take one of the boss pillars and break it down a little bit? Give us some insight of the importance of each one.
Oh, here comes Clark Kellogg, by the way.
I'll do socially.
I'll go.
Socially. So socially, boss is having healthy relationships with other people, being able to the steps of being able to hold a conversation with somebody, being able to communicate with people, being able to have it's over here. But being socially boss is being able to just having good communication skills and being able to build relationships. If you want to start a business, you need to build relationships with people that will benefit you. So part of that is being socially boss.
And what boss is the boss where you got chores to do and you just throw your headset in and you join the meeting while you're doing your chores. What boss is that?
I answer that or?
What's that, Darius?
Is it mentally boss?
Oh yeah, it could be that. You got to be tough. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Priorities. Well, this guy it's 9:59, so I'm assuming he's going to join us in a minute. But Clark Kellogg is he's just a great guy. I met him in 1982 when he was coming out of Ohio State, where he had been two-time MVP of the Big Ten. Led him in rebounding back-to-back years as well. And he would be a lottery pick by the Indiana Pacers. He would be runner-up.
Why don't I see you on Boss?
Excuse me?
You're not.
I'm sorry?
I think she was talking to your son. I think she was talking to your son. Go ahead, her son. Go ahead, Everett.
Yeah, he would be runner-up for Rookie of the Year with the Indiana Pacers when he averaged the double-double. So you guys don't play basketball, that's averaging double figures in rebounding, double figures in scoring. He averaged 20 and 10 as a rookie. Only 5 guys in the history of the NBA have done that. He played 5 years. Someone mentioned earlier about somebody whose career was cut short by injury. Clark Clark actually went into the league injured in terms of the wear and tear on his knees, but he lasted 5 years. He's the originator. We had a picture of Boss in the dictionary. It would be a picture of Clark Kellogg. This guy, from day one, was preparing for the rest of his life, even though he was going to be a superstar player. So when he did have to walk away from the game, he just stopped going into the locker room and just went into the room where the broadcast team was. Worked for the Pacers and ESPN, Cleveland State. He replaced Billy Packer as the #1 guy on CBS College Basketball 4 or 5 years ago, and he just finished a 9-year term on the Board of Trustees at the Ohio State. But beyond all of that, I mean, what really makes him special is he's just an amazing human being who's compassionate and caring, whose life is centered on faith. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Clark Kellogg. I see he's joined us, and so I'll just turn it over to him, but he helped save my life.
Thanks, EL. Man, that's I appreciate the kind words, and obviously we need each other and support and help each other. So I'm thankful that you've been in my life for, heck, we're close to 30 years now.
Yes,
from first meeting you when I was in college, and then selecting you as my agent and going through the challenges that you encountered, and having some other men alongside of us to pray for you and to help you move forward and do what you're doing now, which is giving of yourself to other people in hopes that they'll chart a path of being successful and productive as men. And I'm grateful for what you're doing and glad to jump on with all of you that are on. I come to you from Columbus, Ohio. That is home for me now. I went to college at Ohio State, as Mr. Glenn mentioned, and have decided to live here and make my home here for the last 25, 26 years. My wife is from here, and we've got 3 adult children and 3 grandchildren. Everybody is here in Central Ohio. So this is home. I'm glad to have a chance to share a little bit of my story with you. And my prayer is that something from my story can be helpful to you as you chart and write your own story. I'm assuming I've got primarily, I guess I've got probably middle school and high school, maybe elementary school. I'm not sure of who all is on in terms of age range. Can you help me with that, EL? Is it primarily middle and high school?
High school, middle school, high school. Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. Well, I'm going to try to give you something that can be helpful for you from my story. And Everett Mr. Glenn gave you some highlights for me. Basketball has been a huge part of my life from the time I was 9 or 10 years old. Fell in love with the game. It really grabbed hold of me. I'm 59 now, so it grabbed hold of me 49 years ago, 50 years ago, and never let me go. And I never let it go. I fell in love with playing. I wanted to be good. My dad was a pretty good athlete in his day, a really good athlete actually, and exposed me and my younger brother and 3 younger sisters to sports. I fell in love with basketball and took it to heart. I mean, it was what I loved, what I enjoyed thinking about, doing, reading about, watching. And I didn't know it at the time, but that love affair with basketball really set the foundation for my life because it forced me and kept me in line with doing what I needed to do in the classroom, and then also in how I would try to develop and what I would become as a person, because my mom and dad wouldn't allow me to play if my books weren't in order and my attitude and behavior wasn't in order. And there were times
I don't know. He could be on, but it couldn't show that many screens.
But I got out of order sometimes, just like we all do. when we were in middle school and high school, thinking I'm better than I was, or thinking I didn't have to follow rules or do chores. And whenever that happened, whenever I decided that was how I was going to act, then they took that basketball away from me. No YMCA, no playground, no after school hooping. Whenever I got out of line in school, no hoops. Shut it down. You're not going to be able to do this if you're not doing what's most important, and that's doing the right things as a person and then taking care of your schoolwork. And so basketball kept me in line. It really did give me something that I was good at, that I was passionate about, and that would affect every other part of my development from middle school through high school on to college and then ultimately to the pros. And I look at the pillars for boss around emotionally boss, socially boss, spiritually boss, mentally boss, financially, economically boss, educationally, academically boss. And boy, I tell you, basketball helped me line some of those things up, even when I didn't know it, because basketball was a positive activity. It was something that I enjoyed, and it was something that as I got involved with it, I seemed to have some ability in it. And it doesn't just have to be basketball. It could be the arts. It could be science. It could be technology. It could be writing or teaching or speaking, anything that's positive, that comes comfortably or easy for us, can be an avenue of passion or career. And for me, it just so happened to be basketball. But my encouragement to all of you is that when you find something that you like, that you're good at, that's productive, then pursue it. There's something that you're passionate about, because it can be important to broadening your life and your opportunities. And basketball did that for me. It paid for my college education. It ultimately gave me a life through being an NBA player that gave me a nice financial start to my adult life, not only for me and my wife and our 3 children, but for other folks as well. But it started at the YMCA and the Police Athletic League in East Cleveland, Ohio for me. My dad and uncle were both policemen in Cleveland. Part of what they would do back in that time, policemen would oftentimes coach sports teams as part of the Police Athletic League. It was called PAL. I'm not sure if there are many PAL organizations around across the country, but back in the 60s and 70s when I was growing up, PAL was a big deal. It gave police officers a chance to get to know the kids, the young people in their community through sports. They would coach and teach and try to steer young people in the right direction through football or basketball or baseball, but it was primarily football and basketball. My dad was my first coach in organized hoops. I was 9 years old, 10 years old, playing on a Police Athletic League team. And that was really my beginning. Then it carried over to the local YMCA, playgrounds around the area of East Cleveland and Cleveland, and then ultimately playing for my elementary school and middle school and high school and then college, and ultimately the pros. And I had a lot of good people come alongside of me. Starts with my mom and dad. They were there consistently. My dad worked a lot because he had 5 kids that he had to take care of. He was a police officer, but did different sideline jobs, security at department stores and Cleveland Browns games and high school sporting events to kind of make ends meet. So we weren't without. I like to tell people we had everything we needed and a few of the things we wanted. Always had a solid, stable home, always had enough to eat, had clothes on our back, had some of the sporty sneakers we might want, or a special basketball I might want for a birthday or something. But I didn't have a ton of extra, but I had enough. And more importantly, I had stability and love under my roof with my mom and dad, and then all of my extended family, aunts and uncles and cousins, were in the Cleveland area as well. So I got to benefit from their love and support and guidance as well. So I was blessed, really blessed. And I thank God for that even today. My mom and dad have since passed on. Both are deceased now, but I thank them for what they gave me and my sisters and brother. Love, support, discipline, not perfection. Nobody's perfect. There were bumps along the road, but life is full of that. Everybody has challenges, some more than others, but we all have things that we've got to work through and get over. One of the greatest things that God gives all of us, no matter where we start or where we come from or what issues we might have, is God gives us the gift of life and the ability to choose how we want to try to be, what we want to try to be. Society might throw up roadblocks, other people, circumstances might come up that aren't in your favor, but we always have, as long as we have life and breath and health, the ability to choose. You've chosen to be here today to hear from Mr. Glenn and others, and to hear my story for the sake of hopefully helping you reach your dreams and your goals, whatever they might be. And I hope all of you are interested in being the best version of yourselves in every way, spiritually, socially, educationally, athletically, if you're so inclined, but to really be productive adults as you journey through these formative years. So basketball helped me with staying focused, trying to do the right thing, something that I had to give total attention and dedication to if I was going to be good and if I was going to get the most out of my God-given ability. I couldn't afford to not enjoy and embrace practicing. I couldn't afford to not accept coaching and instruction. I couldn't afford to have my lack of attention in the classroom keep me from the privilege of playing basketball if that's something I wanted to do. And so basketball, because of my love for it and my desire to do well in it, actually helped me line up some of the other choices I would make. Who am I going to hang out with? How am I going to spend my time? How am I going to respond to instruction and coaching? How serious am I going to be about my education? Those things kind of fell in line because basketball is something that I value. And it's no different for you all. If there's something you value that's positive and constructive, your education, your talents in certain areas, a sport, then you've got to be committed to trying to get the best out of yourself in that area. And that means taking on some things and letting go of other things. Taking on an attitude that I'm going to be coachable, even when I don't necessarily like what I'm being told. I'm going to own my development. I'm going to take responsibility for how I act, for how I speak, for how I think, for how I interact with my classmates, with my neighborhood buddies, with my teammates. I'm going to take responsibility for who and what I want to be. And you don't have to be all grown up to start thinking about that. Treating people with respect, you learn that as early as kindergarten. And then on through middle school. People that are different, how are you responding? When a subject is hard, do you seek out help? Or do you try to do it on your own, or do you throw up your hands and give up? If you're involved in a sport or a musical instrument or some other activity, are you giving it your best? Do you bring a good attitude to everything that you step into? Those are things you can control. And basketball helped me learn that in a great way early on. I didn't win all the time. I wasn't always the best player in any group that I played with. But I was willing to learn, to grow, and to work to try to become one of the best players, to try to become a good student, to try to be somebody that other people could trust and that they could rely on that was somebody that was positive to be around. I wasn't perfect. I had all kind of mess ups and missteps. All of us do. But I learned from them. I had a case where I was at a basketball camp one year. I was an 8th grader, about to go into the 9th grade. And because I was a pretty good player, I got bumped up. So I was playing, as an 8th grader, I was playing with the 9th, 10th, and 11th graders. And I held my own. I didn't dominate, but I didn't get dominated. I held my own. And it gave me some confidence. It made me feel good about myself. And I'll never forget, there was a coach who was at the camp, Bill Sudak. He since has passed on, but he pulled me aside and he said, "Clark, you had a good few days at camp. And I think you've got a chance to do something really special in this game if you stay on the path you're on and work hard and continue to develop and take coaching. And I think you can be really good at some point." Didn't talk about making the pros or anything. I was only in the 8th grade. He was thinking about high school and perhaps on to college. But he said, "You know what? It's great to be good in whatever you do. But I think it's more important that you be nice." I've never forgotten that. He told me that. I'm in 8th grade, so that's 40 years ago, probably 45 years ago. It's nice to be good, but it's better to be nice. I want to be good in whatever I do, but I also want to treat people well. And I want to be known as somebody that's a nice person. And that's something all of us can control. We can't control what happens to us all the time, but we can control how we respond to other circumstances and other people. And it's never out of style or out of season to treat other people nicely and with respect when you can. So that's one lesson I thought about. I had a great middle school teacher, elementary school teacher, who was hard on us as students. He was a black man. He was one of the few black teachers in my elementary school. And he was really, really good for me and the other students that he taught because he held us to a standard. He expected us to do well. And whatever our potential was, that's what he wanted to see us doing. If you have the potential to be an A student, then that's where he wanted the line to be drawn for you. If your very best was B or C level, then that's where he wanted you striving for, and he would push you to do that. He was firm, but he was fair. And we need those kind of people in our life that are going to call us out and push us to be better than sometimes we think we can be, to hold our feet to the fire of doing the right thing consistently in the classroom, in our social lives, and in our other endeavors. Basketball helped me learn some of those lessons through my teachers and my coaches. I was always a little bit ahead of the game for my age. I mentioned back in that camp, I was an 8th grader playing with the high school guys. When I got to high school, I started varsity as a freshman. Wasn't as common then in the 70s as it is now. There are a number of kids that are so gifted and prepared that they can play up, if you will. You see it in the NBA if you watch the NBA. 20, 21-year-old guys that are playing with the veterans and holding their own. That's giftedness and hard work. But I was always a little bit ahead of the game for my age. And some of that was ability that God gave me. A lot of it was coaching and the work that you put in. So I journey through basketball. I play in middle school. I play in high school. I start to stand out. I get recruited.
NBA player.
Get recruited from all the big schools in the country: Ohio State, Michigan, Kentucky, Notre Dame, UCLA. Everybody is touting me and calling me one of the top 5 players in the country as a high schooler. I finally decided to make my decision of where I'm going to accept a scholarship to go to college. And I end up becoming a Ohio State Buckeye. I'm an Ohio guy, grew up in Cleveland. Coaching staff is solid. The guys I'm going to play with are good. The state of Ohio basically recruits me, and I think about being an Ohio guy, going to Ohio State, and the education I can get at a great university like Ohio State. So I choose to accept the scholarship offer to play for the Buckeyes, and spend 3 years there and end up leaving a year early to go to the NBA and get drafted by the Indiana Pacers. Had a good college career, had a really good first few years in the NBA as well with the Indiana Pacers before knee injuries. A knee injury ended up ending my career after just 5 seasons. I was drafted at 21, ended up having to retire at 26. My left knee just couldn't take the pounding of playing NBA basketball. So I had 3 surgeries. After the third one, it became clear that I couldn't continue playing. And so I had to retire from the game that had given me so much. It paid for my college education. It had given me an opportunity to see places and meet people that I otherwise wouldn't have. It had given me a life that I had somewhat dreamed about, being able to take care of myself and my family, playing basketball, being good at it. And then because of my knee trouble, it was over, that part of it anyway, playing. And that was hard because I was thinking about being an all-star and wanted to be on playoff teams and thought I had a bright future in the game. And all of a sudden, my body says it's over, and so I have to move on to the next step. And I didn't know what that step would be. I had studied business in college. I was still not a college graduate at that time because I had left a year early. So I was chipping away, going back to school during the off season, thinking about what I might do next. And I got a chance, in part because of how I had conducted myself as a Pacer, and also because of how seriously I had taken my education in high school and college, particularly as it related to interacting and communicating with people. I know that's one of the boss pillars, social boss, the ability to communicate effectively, to engage in good conversation and dialogue, to be able to look folks in the eye and answer a question thoughtfully, to propose questions thoughtfully, to engage with friends and strangers alike in a positive and articulate manner. Those are skills that you develop. And I had really worked hard to develop those even as a player. My mother was adamant, meaning that she did not want me in any way to not be able to effectively communicate to other people, especially if I was going to be behind the microphone as a star basketball player, which is what I wanted to do and had a chance to do it for a while. So I had microphones in front of me and talked to reporters from the time I was in the 10th or 11th grade. And it was important for me to be able to do that well. And so I worked at it. And when I had to retire from playing, I had gotten a ton of experience talking to the media, being interviewed, being part of camps where I would speak to young players and young students, getting all types of training that really helped prepare me for my next career, which would be as a basketball commentator, talking about the game that I had played at every level, communicating that to viewers in a way that would help them enjoy and understand it. So my love of basketball and also my commitment to communication is what set the foundation for me to have a chance to step into the Pacers radio broadcast team. And because of that, I was able to start a new career that now has gone on for over 30 years. I told you earlier, I think that I'm 59. When I retired, I was 26. Really young for an NBA player's career to be over. But injury was the reason for that. And even had I not gotten injured, How long could I have played? Maybe until I was 32, 33, maybe 36, 37. LeBron is going strong at 36, but the reality is at some point, everybody who gets a chance to play at that level will have to stop playing, whether it's age or injury. It is guaranteed. There's no way around it. It is a wonderful career. It is a fantastic way to utilize your gifts if you're so gifted and to make a living for yourself being a professional athlete or a professional entertainer or a CEO or a teacher or a lawyer. But at some point, those things come to an end. In pro sports, the runway is much shorter. In other careers, it can be much longer. But the point I'm making is that there are times when we have to change and move on to the next chapter of our journey. And for me, it was broadcasting. I knew basketball because I had played at every level. I enjoyed it. I understood it. And because I had taken the communication part of my work seriously and my education seriously, I had a chance to become good as a commentator. A chance. There was no guarantee. I needed to work at it just like I worked at playing. How do I get better? What do I need to do? Listen to yourself when you're on the air, record your games, have people give you constructive feedback and criticism, let them coach you, and then put in the work to get better and do that over time. Each day you're trying to get better. You're learning from your mistakes. You're adding to your toolkit. How do you do your job better? And you're striving for excellence, which is what Boss is about. It's about excellence, striving for that and seeking the opportunity to be the best version of yourself that you can be. And so I got a chance to do Pacers radio. That was my beginning as a broadcaster. And I moved over to television after 2 years on radio. Did college games for Cleveland State University. That's my hometown, not my home school, but that's where I grew up. People knew me there, had followed my career, knew I was doing Pacers radio, reached out to me, would you be interested in possibly doing some of our games on television? We can't pay you a lot, but I think it would be good for us and for you. Are you interested? Yes, I am. I'd like to go for it to see if I can make this work. And so I start at the very bottom. No real expectations other than I'm going to give it my best shot to excel in it and to be excellent. And I'm going to do what it takes. And here we are, 30 plus years later. I've been at CBS for 25 years now as a lead college basketball studio and game analyst. I've called Final Fours as a game analyst right there at courtside with Jim Nance. I've done that I did that 5 years. I've been in the studio for 20 years. The last 7 with Kenny Smith and Charles Barkley and Ernie Johnson and Greg Gumbel and Seth Davis and others. For those of you that watch college hoops, had a chance because of that to be part of the NBA 2K video game. And that's in part because of my history in basketball as a player and as a commentator. But I want to tell you, it's also in part because of the reputation I've earned as someone that's a good teammate no matter what I'm doing. And I bring that up just to reiterate how important it is in how you interact with people, because you're always selling yourself. You're always building your brand. You're always building that. Is he or she trustworthy? Do they show up? Are they hardworking? Are they eager to learn? Those things carry weight and value, and they aren't only for certain people. They are for anyone who would grab hold of them. Black, white, rich, poor. Those skills, those attributes don't belong to a certain type of person. They're available to all of us. Attitude, effort, faith, integrity. doing what's right when people are watching and when they aren't, treating others with respect, even when somebody else in the group might not be doing so, working hard in the classroom, as well as in your extracurricular activities, taking responsibility for whatever chores you might have. Those things are not for just certain people, but they are for those who want to do well. And they are for those who want to be successful. They are for those who want to be boss. Success beyond sports. And so my encouragement is simply that the journey is a step at a time. There's never any real shortcut to being excellent in whatever you're pursuing. And there's always hard work involved in anything that has value. You can take shortcuts on occasion, but that doesn't last. Those folks that are doing well and making a difference, impacting others, living lives that are full and fulfilling, are folks that do the basics well. And you guys are learning a lot of the basics and being exposed to people that have been able to apply the basics of attitude and effort and character and discipline and showing up and getting up when you're knocked down. Those are all things that basketball helped formed in me. And I love the last thing I'll say, because I've been going for a while here, is that the foundation for me personally, for the last 30 plus years of my life, has been my faith in God through Christ. I did not grow up going to church or following hard after God. I recognized there might be a God, but really had no relationship. But in 1986, several months before I retired from the NBA, I came into a personal encounter with faith through a local minister sharing the gospel, the word of God, the Bible, and its principles around sin and forgiveness and God's grace through faith in Christ and a personal relationship, and how that could be received for the asking, and how God's word and his spirit and his love could take hold of your life if you give it to him and move you in line with what God designed us for, which is to represent him and reflect his image in the earth. And no matter what areas of work or circumstances we find ourselves, and that's the foundation of how I conduct myself now. I'm on a journey to be more like the Christ of the Bible, loving, faithful, kind, patient. And that underscores everything that I attempt to be and do as a husband, father, as a man in the community, as a seeker of justice and righteousness, where I have opportunities to influence that. And we all have roles to play in doing good, all of us. Even you young folks have opportunities to be part of contributing to the greater good. And I pray and hope that you're doing that where you are, embracing your education, embracing opportunities, having good relationships with other people, finding what your passion is, entertainment, sports, music, business. There's so many different avenues you could pursue. And I hope that you're benefiting from good counsel, good exposure, and just by virtue of you being committed to boss and being part of these gatherings to hear from other folks is encouraging. And it's part of how we get better and how we grow and become all that God would have us to be. I'm a broadcaster. I love what I do. I'm grateful to do it. But more than that, I want folks to see me as a person that is trustworthy, is faithful to his God and to other people, to his family, to his community, and is ever seeking to get better and to grow, admitting mistakes along the way, but trying to be the best that he can be each day that God gives me. And I would encourage, I would hope that would be your heart's desire too, to work through challenges and obstacles and to pursue goodness and excellence in the areas that are in front of you. So that's a little bit of me. And I'm happy to entertain any comments or questions or thoughts that those that are still on the call might want to throw out.
Well, Clark, I just want to ask you a couple of questions. Do you know Wade Manning?
Wade Manning.
Wade Manning from Cleveland, went to Shaker, played baseball, football, track. He went to Ohio State. He didn't play football at Ohio State, but he played football in the pros. Or Bobby Franklin played basketball at Kennedy. These guys are older than you.
Yeah. That's why I know the name, because they're before me.
Bobby's on the call. And then Marvin Bishop, he played at Kennedy. He's on the call too. And
cool.
The reason why is if you know him, because even though you know who they are, but you don't know them, what you have said today, we could have just pulled out a tape. Okay, except there was some Clark Kellogg, but about coachability and about the power of choice.
Yeah.
These principles are for everybody. They're universal. Bishop, don't say something.
Hey, I'll tell you what, Clark, again, man, I've always been a fan, and I think about it, and I was wondering why so much. No question, we felt one of the best that ever come through, not only Cleveland, Ohio, in this country, but Cleveland is a tough town, man, and for you to have so much love, a lot of it has to do with your character, man. For you to be such one of the first great superstars before LeBron James, before Magic Johnson, but to be so humble, and then to hear you now say that that's a conscious, deliberate decision to be morally upright. And I hope these young guys hear that, because as Everett said, our whole mission here is to share with these young guys how in this new era, this new piece in life where effectiveness is no longer an option, right? And obviously you found that out growing up. It's no longer an option. It's only the entry fee to the playing field. And this new era is calling Clark for greatness. And that's what we're talking to these young guys about. That's a choice as you made. And so I'm listening to you and I'm saying, as Everett said, oh, he must have stole our notes.
Oh man. No, that's just God at work, brother.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Let me tell you a little bit about Wade Manning. This will kind of clear it up. Then I'm gonna take you to Mr. Franklin. Wade went to Ohio State on an engineering scholarship, got a baseball scholarship. Then he was roommates with Ryan Springs and went out and raced. He ran like a 4.1, 4.2 and got signed by the Dallas Cowboys the year they won the Super Bowl with Tony Dorsett and Roger. So that's incredible that he never played in high school or basketball. So that's one of your guys. He was one of two Ohio State players. Like, imagine this, in his era, to get drafted that one year. They only drafted two people, Rod and him, right? Wow. And then Bobby Franklin was voted one of the greatest all-time East Senate basketball players.
Oh yeah. I know that.
You would know his family because you know them Franklins, right? Lloyd and Michael, right?
Yeah.
So isn't it amazing? Then you got Everett Glenn, another East Senate guy, and so we have a call of young people like yourself who's committed to empowering these young guys to get through the pain of and the suffering for some of them, to tell them that you can still get there anyway, because you said it and we share it with them, that people can get in the way, but they can't stop you. Only you can stop you. And we teach them a thing called the set of the sail that says this, that in life, it's not what happens to you, that determines your future. It's what you do about what happens to you that has the greatest impact on your future. So, hey, wait, hey, Everett, he's boss. Boss, man. And so Clark, say hello to Wade Manning and Bob Franklin.
Wade and Bob Franklin, greetings, brothers, greetings. And I'm glad I got filled in a little bit more on Wade's story. Bobby, I know a little bit about, but I appreciate that, Brother Bishop. I really do, man, because we're all in the process
Bobby
of
okay,
learning.
there he is. There he is.
I'm here.
Yeah.
But isn't it amazing that this is a Cleveland deal? They talked at one time, they was talking about we was the mistake by the left, but we know God made no mistakes. And if you think about the disciples, they was the least likely ones to get picked. And think about this too. You got these guys who've been extremely successful, who turn around and speaking into these young guys' life. Because I say to myself that how do we know that the next Martin, the next Malcolm, the next Obama, the next Clark is not on this call?
Right. Clark, this is Wade Manning. The last time we were together, I know you met a lot of people, but the last time that me and you were together in the same room, it was in Archie Griffin's office at Ohio State, and you had just finished your degree. You came in to announce to Archie that you had just finished your degree. And I was just so proud because Ohio State was one of the schools for NFL players. Ohio State was one of the schools where you could take courses anywhere in the country and transfer them back to Ohio State to finish your degree.
Yeah.
And you were the first person that I knew that had just done that. And I was in Archie's office when you came in.
Wow, that's amazing, man.
Yeah.
No, that's one of the highlights of my journey, man, to get that done. I took classes in Indiana while I was living over there and wanted to get my degree. The late Coach Bill Miles was instrumental in kind of getting that completion of degree program started. We just lost him recently, but Coach Miles was instrumental in providing that pathway for guys who, for whatever reason, had fallen short of their degrees, either left early like I did or went on and needed some work after they got to the pro level. And man, I tell you, it's that part was, man, the fact that you were in the midst of that time is pretty powerful. Yeah. But no, I'm glad. Yeah, that's awesome.
I was in Archie's office the day you walked in and said, Archie, I got it done, man. I graduated.
Yep, I was on the 17-year plan, man. 17-year plan.
Hey, my sister did the same thing.
Yeah, I like that.
My sister started at Ohio State the spring of '77, and she didn't graduate until she came to Colorado. I'm in Denver, finished my career with the Broncos. She came out to Colorado to live with me, and she finished her degree in like the late 1995, 96. And then she went on and got 2 master's degrees while she was here. So she took the long way around, but she finished and taught high school for 25 years and then retired and living in Tucson, Arizona now with my brother. My brother got drafted out of Shaker to play baseball, but basketball was his game. Tony Manning. I don't know if you remember Tony Manning from Shaker Heights. That was his game, but he signed with the Cleveland Indians right out of high school. 19 years old, he got impressed with training camp in Tucson with the Indians. He says, hey, when I retire, I'm moving to Tucson. Well, he retired, and he's been living in Tucson for 15 years. Marvin knows this. He came back for the Dream Team reunion, and they was arguing about who the best basketball player was. Marvin said, hey, y'all forgot about Tony Manning now out there in Shaker. He was shooting y'all's eyes out.
Well, watch this. Wade, so Wade, you ran every place when you was little,
Yes.
And as a result, you became a sprinter, right? But you wasn't trying to be a sprinter. You just went everywhere. And what I heard Clark say, he just been interviewed all the time.
Right.
And he became a broadcaster. So he was being prepared for, just like he was being prepared. You mentioned that. I don't know if these guys missed that. I'm talking about the guys, the young guys.
The preparation.
The preparation.
Hey, Clark, watch this one. You talked about how your preparation just parlayed to something else, but Bobby Franklin, I don't know, again, I told you he was voted one of the top high school players in Cleveland East Senate history, along with Freddie Beeman, some names you would know. But you also know this name that was one of your arch rivals, Aparicio Curry, and Bobby's younger brother, Michael Franklin, was the best of friends. And again, Bobby talks about when he came out of Point Park College, was an NAIA school in 1977. He was the leading scorer in Pittsburgh history. That's including Billy Knight, Norm Nixon, and a bunch of guys. So he had to make a decision between going to an NBA tryout or taking a job with Mattel Toy Company, which was a Fortune 500 company. And he did something also unique because of his preparation. He took that job with Mattel, where history shows 99% of the people would have never went for the job. They'd have went for the tryout. And today, because of that, right, and because of his basketball skill and his preparation, he lives as good as anybody ever played in the NBA. So Clark, again, Bobby Franklin is again, the connection is there. And then Everett say, well, hey, I wouldn't be here without you. So think about this, that you're affecting people that you didn't know, but then you're affecting folks that you're just meeting, and you're affecting people that haven't even been born yet. So we commend you, but we also commend these young guys to say that these principles that Everett is sharing with you and committing to get you to commit to embody can do something great for you. Like you said, it's not for everybody, but if you're about success, if you're about peak performance, if you're about not only being successful, but sustaining that success, that moral compass piece is just as important. Would you agree?
I can't say it any better than that, Brother Bishop. I can't say it any better than that. That's exactly right. There's integration. It's tied together. Principles for successful, productive, impactful living are universal, and they don't change much. I mean, they're pretty consistent. Live like you're going to die tomorrow. Learn like you're going to live forever. Continuing to learn.
There you go.
Continuing to learn.
You sound like Mr. Franklin. Mr. Franklin,
there you go. Clark, I've been a fan for longer than you know, and you make us all proud. You make me proud because you're a product of where we come from. And you know what? Like you said, you had what you needed, and it was enough. And you know, we went on and we had the ingredients within us to make that journey, whatever the journey ultimately turned out to be. I talk to Marvin consistently on a consistent basis, and we talk about making sure that these young men understand that it doesn't matter what career they choose or what path in life they select to take that journey on. If they truly embrace the pillars of what Boss is trying to teach, they will provide the vehicle or the fuel to take you to great heights in your life. I mean, so I'm not overly concerned that young people don't know exactly what career path they want to take, but it's very important for them to understand the fundamental.
That's all right.
Yeah, he froze.
Right. So while we waiting on Mr. Franklin, Clark, let me ask you a question. You talked about preparation, and one of the principles we share with these young guys is from the Art of War that says every battle that was ever won was won before it ever was fought. And then you come and say that it was my preparation that allowed me to do this. So can you elaborate a little bit on that part right there, the elaboration? I mean, on the preparation?
Yeah, you know what? I think it starts with the attitude and the mind. I really believe that it starts there. I mean, that's where all of our battles are fought and won, in the mind, how we think and what we're thinking about and what we give our attention to. I was thinking about, and I'm not even sure, guys, where it came from, but I was always thinking about trying to do well and trying to be good. I think it came perhaps from my family, being the firstborn, seeing guys that I started to watch and read about when I fell in love with basketball, reading about Kareem, who was Lou Alcindor at the time, and this guy being not only great as a player, but an intellectual, a smart man, a guy who had tremendous respect for who he was and great knowledge. I'm not sure. I just know that I always wanted to make my folks proud. My attitude, and it was reinforced once I started to take steps in that direction. But I really think it starts with our attitude around wanting to make the most of opportunities and wanting to be good for the sake of being good, not necessarily for what rewards it might produce. Hey, if I wanted to be good as a basketball player because I enjoyed the game and wanted to be good at it, and if it meant that I would be popular, that was a byproduct.
That's right.
Yeah.
That wasn't what I was playing because I enjoyed the game. I had some aptitude and giftedness in it, and I liked the process of trying to excel. So to me, it's all in the mindset of wanting to be and do well and good. And when that's the case, it starts to help you zero in on some things that will help you have a chance to realize that. And it helps you start to eliminate some things that may take you away from that path. In other words, I couldn't excel if I wasn't willing to embrace the work.
That's right.
I mean, they just don't go together. And I couldn't excel if I was gonna allow attitudes of others to pull me down or to distract me. I had to, and it forces you in some ways to be, fairly tunnel visioned and myopic in how you think, because if you're setting your sights on a certain destination, and there are some things that will most certainly help you get there, and there are other things that most certainly might take you off that path, then at some point you just got to anchor your stick and your feet and say, this is the road I'm on. And I don't know how and why. My siblings asked me about it. Why were you different? I mean, I don't really know.
That's like shooting a free throw and trying to fight a fourth.
I've just kind of always had that. And then obviously as I've grown in faith and other people have come alongside me, I've been able to kind of clarify. But and then you get positive feedback too. I mean, you get the positive reinforcement when you do this and that, and it leads to something you desire. Then it's a little easier to keep doing it.
Yes.
So you get the positive reinforcement, and I got that early on. That's one of the great things sports does too. I mean, it gives you immediate feedback from what you're doing. So, but I don't know how to explain it any differently than that. And then just embrace. I mean, that's the other thing sports teaches you that there's a cost and a price to pay for having a chance to perform well in the games.
That's right.
You talking about did you say you talking about the cost and the price?
No. Okay, so now we right where we need to be. See, one of the pieces I don't want these young guys to miss is this, that you've had so much success, but there was many bumps in the road that could have took you out and they didn't. And one of the things is this, you just said it, and we share with the guys, there really isn't but two things one has to do to be successful in life, no matter what the endeavor is. Number one, you have to have a desire for success, and you just attested. I had it. I don't know why, but I had it. Wade Manning had it. He don't know why. Bobby Franklin had it. He don't know why. Everett Glenn had it. He don't know why, but he had that desire, and we found out you can't have desire for other people, only for yourself. But the other piece to being successful requirement is this: determining the price for that success and then committing to pay the price in full, Clark, which means you can't go buy a basketball that costs $30 and give them $25 because that's not the full price. So can you just elaborate a little bit more on that price?
Man, oh man. Hey, you covering it so well, Bishop. I can't, bro. I mean,
no, man.
From my perspective, it's simply the fact that you've got to embrace the work involved to get to a good result. You don't necessarily have to always enjoy it, but you have to embrace it. You've got to take it on. When I started broadcasting, I was at the bottom rung. I had this platform of having been on one side of the microphone, which I had excelled in, answering questions, being thoughtful, being articulate, trying to be well-read. Those were things that I had done, but there was an element of becoming a broadcaster that I had to develop into.
That's right.
When to speak, how much to speak, how do you prepare for games that you're going to commentate? How do you prepare for being in the studio? What does that look like? How much reading, how much videotape watching do you have to do? How much listening to your own broadcast as a way for constructive criticism, so you're not developing pat words that you're always saying unbeknownst to you unless you re-listen to yourself. Allowing other people, giving them permission to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Tell me where I messed up. Tell me what you didn't like about what I did. That's tough medicine. It's not always easy to swallow, but it's essential if you're going to move forward. And that goes back to me to an attitude or a desire, to your point, Brother Bishop, that you want to be moving towards that standard of excellence and recognizing that you have to pay to have a chance to get to that level. And I've always been an embracer of the work that's required to try to move forward, to try to reach whatever my potential is in a particular endeavor.
And Clark, I think you touched on it earlier when you talked about basketball provided that passion. Once you find something that you're committed to and passionate about, that will allow you to see that pathway of doing whatever is necessary to reach a level of success. I went into a situation where I thought I was going to be playing basketball on the NBA level, and then I was going on my way to Europe. I keep getting bumped off.
That's all right.
You hear me? You hear me?
Yeah, you go. We can hear you.
Okay.
We got you.
Okay, so then I'm on my way to Europe, and I get a phone call from a VP of Human Resources at Mattel Toy Company. And she wanted to fly into Pittsburgh to interview me and spend a weekend with me. And not knowing anything about sales, she mentioned something that you talked about earlier. She told me, I said, why me out of all the individuals in this country, forget the state or the city of Pittsburgh, the state of Pennsylvania, but in this country, that you show up at my doorstep? Why me? And her comments to me, Clark, was that you have been preparing yourself, you've been selling yourself longer than you even know. And it took a basketball article in a magazine for whomever people in California to read and have the insight to say, hey, this kid could be someone that could fit perfectly in the position that we want in our company. And it turned out to be a 38-year journey. But it all started with the basketball from a passion level of being able to make a commitment to be successful and be the best that I could be, and not letting any of the obstacles that you come across or the bumps in the road that you come across take me off course of reaching a level of success that I wanted to. And I think it starts with the passion.
So Clark, let me ask you a question. You talked about it all started with when you was young, and another thing that we talk to these young folks about is the 5 basics of life to be successful. And the first basic is the who piece, and it goes something like this: that imagine Clark Kellogg when he was a young guy, he was driving this bus up the mountain for greatness, and he had to ask himself, who do I want on the bus? But also you had to ask, who's on my bus that I might have to ask to get off? It might not necessarily meant that they were bad, but they no longer fit. And you talked earlier about you making some choices about the people you was gonna be around, from your homeboys, as far as your family members. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, that's so true, Marvin. At some point, you want to be around folks that are going to move you in the direction that you want to go. And as you mature and you get a clear vision of who you want to be, how you want to be, what you want to be, then you want to be connected or yoked with those kinds of folks. And basketball and sports has a way of bringing that similar type of mindset together. And it also can happen outside of sports. Sports is just the arena that I'm most familiar with. And then it becomes a matter, again, to Bobby's point, when there's passion about a direction or a pursuit, then you're really not interested in anything or anybody that might derail that or inhibit that. And that requires that you, one, have a clear sense of who you want to be and how you want to be, what you want to be, what it's going to take to get there. And then it begins to help you decide who can help me and join me in this. And it helps you clarify who might not be. And sometimes it's separating, not necessarily disowning, but just separating to a point from family or friends who may not share. And that can be hard. That's not an easy thing. That's a hard thing. That's a hard thing when you're trying to move one way and you've got boys or friends or family that you love, you care about, you enjoy, you've got common ground. But in this area, they're not quite where you are. Then you have to agree to disagree, that I'm headed this way. And if you join me, fine. And we might have to interact on another or different level. Or the hardest part is that this is where I'm headed. I love you. We can be friends, but I can't go down the road you're headed. And however you receive that, that's on you. And that's a hard thing when you're young. That's a hard thing when you're young. What helped me was that I had enough support in the direction that I was desiring to go from adults and a few of my peers, that the naysayers are the ones who I maybe had to leave off the bus or asked to leave weren't enough to derail me. It stung, it hurt temporarily, but I had enough of the other folks to reinforce that I was on the right path and to help fuel my passion. And that's important. You need folks alongside for the ride and the journey, because it won't always be easy. But you also have to work through the folks that are going to be sometimes tough to separate from.
Clark, one of my concerns with the young men of Boss is this. They hear your story, former NBA player, college All-American, one of the top 5 high school players in America. Yet we have folks on this call that they're hoping to make the JV team this year, right? That they're hoping that they can do anything, but yet we're sharing the principles that took you to the top of a mountain through the storm, and we're sharing it with them now. Can you kind of speak how, regardless of where they're at, by embracing these principles that you embrace, that are principles and personal, so therefore, if they utilize them, then they can reap the benefit, might be in a different arena. Can you explain?
The outcome isn't always going to be the same as somebody else's story. but the development that you go through and the enhancement for your journey is still appropriate and applicable. In other words, the principles, and you said it so well there, the principles don't show favoritism, or they aren't personal. The principles are the principles, and they are used, they are useful, and they work for whoever will embrace them and put them to work. I think that's what we're trying to say, is that these principles, in terms of your attitude, effort, faith, the things that you can grab hold of, have application. In my journey, they applied to my journey in basketball and also my journey in broadcasting, but they've done the same for Bobby as an executive at Mattel. Right. They've done them for Wade in his career. So those same things are universal, and that's what we're trying to communicate, that you can grab hold of these things now and begin to develop the habit of putting them into practice so that they become part of your brand. This is how you roll. This is who you are. This is what you do. In every this is how you present and represent yourself, trying to make the JV, trying to get a B instead of a C in a class, in any job you might have, in any chore. This impacts all aspects of who you are and who you're becoming. So these principles are foundational to who you are and who you're becoming, and what you take to whatever you put your hands and heart and head to.
Clark, one of the principles that we share with these young guys is this, because we know we live in an era where most folks, young folks, older folks also don't want to fail, but we share with them that failure is a prerequisite for success. So can you talk a little bit about that?
You're going to have roadblocks. It's not always going to work out the way you want it to. And some of that's going to be hard and painful. I mean, we have to embrace the fact that life is a journey that is fraught with highs, lows, joys, sorrows, difficulty, smooth road. That is the essence of being in a fallen world. It's not going to be a straight line to where you want to go. And part of growth is embracing the sunshine and the rain.
All right. Now, let me ask you a question. As far as you know, when the rain rains, does it rain on everybody, or do it pick certain people out?
Well, it hits us all. It hits us all in different ways and at different times. But it definitely, and some people don't get rained on as much. And I can't disclose the mystery of why that is. But the reality is, we all get rained on. Everybody gets rained on.
Don't take the class, huh?
Yeah. Everybody gets rained on, man. We're gonna hit our storms, and some of the rain is self-induced.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Some of it is others induced.
Right.
And some of it is just something that happens.
And thank God for the rain. Can you imagine what life would be without rain?
No doubt. I tell you, man, we need both rain and sunshine to grow, and I'm living testimony to that.
Hey, can I ask you about when you met Everett? Now think about this now.
Mm-hmm.
You was one of the top high school players in the whole entire country. And you chose a young Afro-American male named Everett Glenn. What was your thought process in that? And I know your family probably had to come into play.
Yep, no doubt. It was a combination of things, Marvin. One, I've always been, and again, I don't know where this came from, but I've always been one that wasn't too afraid to go against the grain.
All right.
So that was part of it in that. And also I felt a bit of a responsibility because Everett had stepped into my life as a freshman or sophomore in college, probably a sophomore, was actually educating me around what I was about to step into. And I was always one who wanted to be self-educated. I wanted to understand and know what was possibly in my future. And I wanted somebody to represent me who was going to not only represent me, but was going to educate me about the business of pro basketball and the potential and how to leverage that effectively when I got done. And what Everett was seeking to do appealed to me in that regard, educating me, coming alongside me, working for and with me to try to maximize this opportunity. And the fact that he was Black and just getting started was an element that I wanted to be part of too, to perhaps maybe get him moving more towards where he wanted to be as an agent because of where I was in the draft, where I was on the draft board and so forth. So it was a number of factors. My mom and dad were involved as we visited with prospective agents. But those were some of the things that led me. He was a Cleveland native. That too didn't hurt. But it was more the fact that he was seeking to educate me. He seemed to be well educated and wanted to not only represent me, but he wanted to grow and develop me in a bigger fashion than just a contract and playing the game. He saw it more broadly, impacting community, setting a standard for those that might follow. And all of that, even though I was only 21, it resonated with me in the way it could for somebody so young.
It sounds as though Everett is attempting to do the same thing with these young men.
No, yeah, I agree.
Trying to broaden their vision.
Yep.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this question. You talked about through all that success around 26 somewhere, 28, you say you cemented your foundation with a Christian lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And we share with them that all this stuff we talk, if we overlook this moral compass piece, you know, in business how we talk, but we know we're talking about God. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And how important is that far as, because Mr. Franklin always talk about, it's one thing to get to the mountaintop, it's another thing to sustain it. And to be able to sustain life, how important was that? And why did you do it at that point? It seemed like, you did it after all this happened to you.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, God has a way of getting our attention at different times through different circumstances. And it's certainly a personal and individual journey when we come to faith in God through Christ, which is the path that I jumped on. Part of it, Marvin, was gratitude for having reached some of my dreams as life had played out for me. Part of it was the possibility, the uncertainty of what was coming in my future. But I think the biggest thing is that God created us to know him and to represent his image in the earth, and sin, basically living apart from God's design and order for us, keeps us from being who all he wants us to be according to the scriptures. And as long as that element is not aligned, then you're actually running on a battery that's not fully charged, no matter what your life ends up becoming or doing. That's not to say it can't be productive, but there's an essence to being connected to the life giver, spirit to spirit, and sin keeps that spirit of God from being in the heart of man until you acknowledge him through faith in his son Christ, who died to forgive us of that sinful nature and give us the promise of abundant and eternal life, as I understand the scriptures. And as that was laid out to me over a period of 6-7 months, the winter of '86, actually the spring of '86 into the winter of '86, the truth of the word, the living, active, sharper than a double-edged sword word of God, convicted me of my need for Christ as Savior. And I basically bowed my heart, believed that Christ had died for my sins and that God raised him to life, so that in him, through believing in my heart that was the case and confessing with my mouth that I wanted forgiveness of sin through Christ, I could have a right relationship with God. And that's what I did back in November of '86. And since then, my identity has been foundationed on what the scriptures say about who I am. A man born of God, created in his image, and his spirit and word work in me to live the standard of life that he desires for his sons and daughters, of which I'm one. And that really changed my whole identity. Before basketball really had kind of been on the center of my life. I knew I was more than a basketball player, but basketball still was kind of on the throne of my life until I got to that place where I wanted Christ to be on the throne. And so since then, I've sought to grow in knowing and understanding the word of God and trying to live it out the power of the Word and the power of His Spirit, and also the fellowship with other believers to grow and become who God has created me to be, a reflection of His image in the earth. But my identity changed, Marvin, quite honestly. I mean, that's the foundation of who I am. It starts there, and I pray that everything flows out of my thinking, my doing, my being flows out of who God says I am.
Marvin, let me piggyback on to what Clark is saying. Clark, my life was a little bit opposite of yours. I heard you say earlier you didn't really go to church and all of that. Mine was just the opposite. I went to church all the time. Got my first Bible for going to every Sunday school class in 1964. I still have that red letter Bible with my name on it in gold. And yet, I was a churchgoer. I was not a Christian. I knew Jesus loved me. This I know, for the Bible tells me so. I said blessings before I ate, prayers before I went to bed, but I didn't have this personal relationship with Christ. I specifically remembering at Ohio State while I was there, standing right on the corner across from Tommy's Pizza and Drackett Tower, you know, two Fellowship of Christian Athletes, a male and a female. They asked me if I wanted to accept Christ into my life. And I was honest with them. I said, you know what? I could stand here on this corner and go through the motions and pray with you guys to accept Christ, but I know that I'm not ready. And, you know, I was living the college life and I wasn't doing anything bad. To this day, I still don't drink, smoke, never had no weed in my mouth, none of that. It wasn't that I was doing anything bad, but I felt like it was going to restrict me somehow. So 3 years later, I'm not a football player, although I went into Woody's office 3 springs in a row to try to be a walk-on, and he said no, because he recruited the best in the state of Ohio and around the country, and if I didn't play in high school, I couldn't play for him. Well, I'm not supposed to be playing in the NFL. So, you know, I get signed by the Dallas Cowboys. And the first weekend in Dallas, I went to church with a friend. Oscar Lee Singer ran track at Ohio State. And Oscar, he may be retired now, but he was a police officer for 30 years in Columbus. So he said, hey, when you go to Dallas, I want you to contact my uncle, Willie Williams. He'll show you around Dallas. He'll show you a good time. So first weekend in Dallas, I called him and he came and got me and took me out to their house in the suburbs, and his wife was a Christian. She asked me if I would go to church with them the following day. And I was nice. I said, well, yeah, you know, I need a church home away from home. And if I should make the Dallas Cowboys, I got to have some place to go worship every week. And so I went. And when I got to that church, Bible Way Bible Church in Oak Cliff, Dallas, and I heard the message. And I sat there and I said, wait a minute, God, you got a sense of humor. You didn't bring me down here to play football. You brought me to Dallas to meet you. And he cornered me. And the message that day was about the person of Jesus Christ. And I'll never forget the example that Reverend Eddie Lane gave that day. Through his whole sermon, he says, look, if you had $1,000 to your name, would you give $999.99 to Christ and keep 1 penny just in case he wasn't who he said he was? He said that 1 penny would keep you out of heaven. That 1 penny would show that you don't have faith. So you got to give it all. So I'm sitting there in the church and I go, man, I done been good. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do this. I don't do that. My parents tell me to come home by 11. I was home by 10:50. I done hit all these home runs, stole all these bases, won all these basketball games. I was as good, in my mind, as good could be. And I'm like, hold up. And I can't spend eternity with God unless I give my life to Christ. I am not leaving this church today until I settle my eternal destiny. Football was not important in my life. Athletics was. I was emotionally an athlete, spiritually an athlete, physically an athlete. But that day, at that moment in time, God said, you're going to make a decision about me. You're either going to accept me in your life so I can rule your life, or you're going to go your separate way, and you better eat, drink, and be merry, because when you die, you're going to spend eternity separate from me. I accepted Christ that day, man, and my life changed. I still had to go to training camp with the Cowboys, but when I went to training camp, making the team was no longer the most important thing. Representing Christ in my life was. And so I took this position. God is the creator of the universe. He created everything. He knows whether or not he wants me to be a Dallas Cowboy. If he wants me to be one, I'm going to be it to the best of my ability and represent him. If he doesn't, he has something better for me to do. Well, I made the Dallas Cowboy football team, and it was storybook. I averaged 17 yards of punt return in 5 preseason games. My first game was at the Hall of Fame game in Canton against the Raiders. I averaged 35 yards of kickoff return for the whole 5 games, and then I ran a kickback against the Steelers to win the last preseason game, 22-21. And I made the team. And the next week, opening day in St. Louis against the Cardinals, Tom Landry called me into his office in St. Louis in the locker room, and he says, look, you had a storybook training camp. I have no idea how you could be playing football so well when you don't have any experience at this. The last time I had played, Clark, was for Cadillac Music in the PAL League, Junior Cleveland Browns, as an 8th grader. And he says, look, so today I know you're going to be a little bit nervous, just take care of the ball. Don't fumble the ball. I don't care if you gain a yard, just take care of the ball. Because here I was, a rookie, and I'm going to get the opening kickoff or punts or whatever. And even though I had played well, he still had his doubts. But see, in my heart, I had that same look. If the Lord is in charge of the universe,
That's right.
He's not going to put me out here on this field, and I'm not ready. I ended up running the kickback at the end of the game. I totally messed up O.J. Anderson's rookie debut because he gained over 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was their #1 draft pick, eventually a Super Bowl champion, MVP. But that day, opening day, I blew it for him because he went 68 yards for a touchdown to put them up 21-19. I ran the kickback, and we won 22-21. So,
Wow.
But God he says, look, just trust me. And so I just worked hard. I was always prepared. Tom Landry made sure of that because he always called on me, Wade, come up to the board, draw up cover 2, tell me what everybody does. He was not going to put me out there, but still, even him being a Christian, he still had his doubts. And when I ran that kickback to win the game, he came to me after the game. He says, I have no idea how you're doing this. I looked him in his eye and I said, Jesus is good, coach. Jesus is good.
Wow.
And from that point on, I have never been without God. I mean, the feeling, you know how you can go through life and then every now and then, throw an arm to God. From that day in Reverend Lane's church, I have never not felt the presence of God. And I've gone through my whole life now. I mean, I taught high school for 30 years, coached, taught at the college level, coached. I'm retired now from the NFL, got my NFL retirement, teaching retirement, got the 403B and the 457, and I work for the NFL on game day. God is good. He changed my life in one quick swoop. And so what I want the young people to learn is you may have a path that you want to be on, but if God got another path for you, don't fight him. Take that path. I got drafted 3 times to play pro baseball. I got drafted my first year at Ohio State in 1976 by the Pittsburgh Pirates. I could have signed and been gone then. I could have signed out of high school with the Cleveland Indians. I got drafted in 1973 by the Indians. I said, nope, going to college. Got to college. Nope, I'm going to graduate before I leave here. And then my senior year, Howard, Hopalong Cassidy, tried to sign me with the Yankees because he was the head manager for the Columbus Clippers at the time.
Right.
But I went the football route. Even though I hadn't played, I just felt like I had the athletic ability that I could do it. But I met God before I ever got a chance to play one play, whether it was training camp, preseason game for the Dallas Cowboys. I met God first, and he changed my life to this day.
Wow.
Well, that's powerful. It's powerful.
My goodness, that's beyond powerful, man.
It's powerful.
Man, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord, because I wasn't supposed to be here just to speak. I was here to hear.
That's
I was supposed to be here to hear, man, and to learn. Yeah, man.
Ben Gonzalez, he wants to know, as a growing teenager, what 3 books would you recommend he read?
I actually put 2 in the chat, but I'll mention them. One of my favorites that I've read a couple of times. I'm a huge fan of Tony Dungy.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
I'm going to say Uncommon for sure. Uncommon for sure for anybody, but particularly for young men is really, really good. I mean, it's just a really thorough, clear understanding around some of the principles that Boss embraces and some of the things that he's seen in his own life and journey. But it's just well done. But Uncommon by Tony Dungy is certainly one. And I just read one not too long ago. It's really good. It's maybe a tad heavy for the, but maybe not. I'll just recommend it. And at some point in time, it might be one you pick up. But The Road to Character by David Brooks is really rich. It's 10 stories around different people in history, real life people that display some of the characteristics of outstanding character, whether it's courage, discipline, perseverance, but 10 real life people from history kind of are sketched in biographical fashion to demonstrate a characteristic that is considered part of having great character. And that would be one. So I've got 2. And then another one that I think is a quick read, and it actually is part of what you were talking about, Marvin, in terms of who's on the bus and how do you maybe shove folks off that don't need to be on it. But The Energy Bus is a very quick, breezy read, but it's profound in the message that it displays. The Energy Bus by John Gordon, JONGORDON. The Energy Bus. Those would be.
I'm sorry, Clark. Finish.
Yeah. Those would be 3 from my library that I've read, and actually I read a couple of those with my boys. Yeah.
So Noah Acosta wants to know, what are your morning rituals?
I typically start my morning in prayer, whether I'm on my back or on my knees. I'm usually thanking God for the newness of a day. And then I'll typically try to get on my porch where I am now. This is right off of my office at my home, where I'll try to just sit in quietness and prayer and perhaps meditation. But typically I'm starting in prayer and then reading either a passage of scripture or reflecting on a message I've heard, but really just yielding my mind and my heart to the Lord in those first moments of the day. It could be 10 minutes, it might be an hour, but I typically start there, praying and reading and being with the Lord.
So Kai Hunter wants to know, when did you come up with your plan B in life?
I didn't necessarily. I actually was encouraged through my parents, through you, Everett, through one of my great mentors, Ira Novak, an insurance agent, to think about when basketball would be over well before it was over. The plan B actually evolved. It wasn't something I set out to do as far as becoming a broadcaster. My vision, to Wade's point, my plan was to play for 8, 10, 12 years at a high level. During that time of being a player, started thinking about some business venture I wanted to pursue and be established in that, so I would have a smooth transition whenever it was time for me to stop playing in the business world in some capacity. That was kind of my general idea and plan. Well, basketball playing ended after just 5 years, and basketball at the time was what I knew best. And when I got the chance to do Pacers radio, it just felt like a good opportunity to stay in the game, to maybe carve out another career, and to do something that I had some comfort with: communication, speaking. Those things were comfortable for me, and I thought I could be good at it. So I didn't really have a plan B, and the one I had didn't unfold the way I thought it might. And so God took me on this journey to broadcasting. And when our time and our lives are in His hands and we trust that, He usually works all things together for good for those of us who seek to know, love, and follow Him. And I found that to be true for me.
Mr. Kellogg, I got first of all, huge fan.
Thank you.
Of your work. Oh shoot. Also like the way you mentioned today about how communication is so key, and selling yourself to other people, showing why you are the best at what you do, anything you do. I got a couple questions though.
Okay.
First of all,
Keenan, why don't you first introduce yourself to Clark?
Oh, shoot. My name is Kenaniah Wondercheck. I play basketball. I'm about to be a senior.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I wanna go to college for. I want to play college basketball, but I also would like to go into information technology. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Excellent. And it's Kenaniah, you said?
Kenaniah, yes.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. First of all, I was looking online, and you have done a couple golf games, right? Couple golf, couple NBA, obviously college
Oh
basketball.
no, just solely NBA in terms of video games.
Oh no. Just talking about analyst, being an analyst. Did you do golf?
No. I don't do
Not at all
golf. I love golf, but I'm sports specific, man. It's all basketball for me as a
So
commentator.
only. Okay, I must have read something wrong then. Okay, so you've only done NBA and NCAA. Okay.
Correct.
I guess my first question is, what makes the best sports analyst in your eyes?
There are a couple of things. One, you have to know the sport that you're commentating, and typically analysts are either former coaches or former players. You see occasionally some analysts now, because of the information age, may come from the journalistic side, prominent writers that have covered a particular sport and have a unique perspective and an ability to analyze it. But most of the time, your analysts are going to be former players and coaches, simply because they have great inside experience in that game. So they have a unique perspective because they've coached it, played it, or both. And that lends itself to being able to help viewers understand it. So typically, you're coming from a place of great experience in the game. That's why former players and coaches are usually your analysts. And then a couple of things that help analysts stand out. One, you have to have a bit of a unique style. that's yours. Dick Vitale has a unique style and has had it for decades. I have a unique style in that I like to create unique words to describe the game in order to help people understand it. And I've always enjoyed words from the time I was in elementary school. Reading and writing were probably my favorite subjects in addition to math. So I've always enjoyed words and learning new words and using new words. So having something that's uniquely yours, you understand the game if you've played it or coached it. And then the other thing that is really pretty elementary is being committed to the work of becoming better. You can't just show up with the knowledge and experience that you have as a former player or coach and not supplement and add to that a work rate to get better at your craft. It's much like you. If you have great size and agility and touch, that's a wonderful place to start in basketball, but that's not enough to help you realize whatever your potential is. There's some work that's going to be required. And then the other thing I would say is being willing to force people to give you constructive criticism. Not being comfortable with just what you want to hear and what feels good, but asking people to tell you how you need to get better or what you need to get better at. And that doesn't often happen in that business. A lot of times you'll get an opportunity to do it, and then you won't get coaching and you kind of don't grow. And the next thing you know, you're not employed or you're not doing it anymore. So being willing to ask folks to really coach you honestly would be the other thing. But the work rate is essential. You bring knowledge and understanding of the game, and then having something that's uniquely your style is, I think those are ingredients that make for a really good analyst.
Okay. Good stuff. When you mentioned that your dad worked as a security guard. When your dad worked for the Cleveland Browns, did you get to meet any of the players?
Yeah, I did. My dad was a full-time Cleveland police officer, but part of his sideline duty, part of his moonlighting or second job opportunities would be as a security guard at a department store. He would do that occasionally. And typically every home game, he was part of an army of police officers that worked the Browns games. So I would hang out with him and my uncle in the bleachers. So I got into the locker room. I got a chance to meet players as a young kid. I got actually official NFL footballs that I could take to the field when I would play with my buddies, and have a lot of great memories of going to Browns games with my dad and uncle, sitting in the bleachers, being taken care of by those fans, and on occasion getting an NFL football or a trip to the Browns or the visiting team locker room, man. And for a kid that's, 8, 9, 10 years old, man, that was big time stuff. So I had a ton of fun hanging out with them. One other thing I would add to the analyst piece in terms of being good, and this applies to anything that you do. Very rarely are you working by yourself in any profession. You're always part of a bigger organization or a team. The other thing I would add is how you work with the other people. What kind of partner are you to your broadcast partner, but also to the people that aren't seen, the folks that are setting up the cable wire and pulling the cameras and in the truck. How good are you as a member of a team? And that's important. And that's one of the areas where I've excelled in my career, is trying to get to know everybody by name, treating everybody the same, even though we get special treatment because we're the voices and faces that people hear and see, but making sure that I'm viewed as part of the team and making sure the other people know how important they are to what we do. And so that's an element that I think is universal. When you're involved working with other people, what kind of teammate are you? And how do you show your appreciation for the others that are part of the team? And how do you bring your best self to your job on the team? And so that would be something else I would highlight as important in the role of an analyst. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question.
As a high school, hold up, bro. Hold up. I got a couple more, man.
Okay.
As a as a high school player, I read somewhere versus Columbus East, you had
Yeah.
51 points, and you had a record of 24 rebounds. Did you ever come out that got to the game that game?
I don't think I came out, and it's still one of the most. It's a satisfying thing to have set that record that still stands, but it's really painful to revisit the fact that we came up short and didn't win that championship game. That was the state championship game back in '79, and I still am pained because I actually never was able to win a championship other than high school local championships, but never won a state championship in high school. Finished second 2 of the 3 years I was in the Big Ten playing for the championship on the last day. And then my NBA career, the Pacers were a struggling team in my time, and we were never a playoff team in the years that I played. I obviously got to see great playoff teams with Reggie Miller and Rick Smits and those guys as a broadcaster, but I never had a chance to hang a banner at Ohio State or win a state championship in high school. And I regret that didn't happen, but I often say, clearly it's nice to win championships, and you want to win those when you play, but you can always live as a champion, whether you win a championship or not. You can live and carry yourself as a champion, even if you don't get the trophy or the banner or whatever they might give you for winning the title. There's great respect for living as a champion and great reward in living as a champion.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, CEO Clark, let me piggyback real quick and we can finish the questions. I was talking to a CEO one day, and he told me that a championship wasn't a game. It was a day-to-day lifestyle, right? A living. And so many people now, especially the younger people, put so much emphasis on the ring and not understanding that you can, there's guys who got more rings than Charles Barkley, but they never even got in the game. And so that what you're saying now, I mean, I'm thinking back to when I heard that, he said it wasn't no game for him. It was a day-to-day activity. So we all can be champions, and that's a choice.
Yes, that's right. That's exactly well said. Well said.
Back to the questions.
Agree 100%.
Clark, I was at that game.
Yeah, don't bring it up, man. It's just
Danville Waiters, East, Columbus East.
Man. I know all about it, Wade. I don't need you to be amplifying it.
Hey, Clark, watch this though, man. You hit 51 points in a whole game. It took me like a half a season to get 51. Come on.
Hey, Marvin, I should have had 70 as much as I shot it.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Oh, you one of them guys.
Oh, man. Hey, man, I missed a bunch of foul shots. I missed some shots I should have made. I should have had 70, man.
Oh, wow, man. So that putting it up every shot, not seeing a shot you didn't like, that didn't just
That was out of desperation, though, Marvin. It wasn't the way I typically play, but we were down big at the half, and I had the ability to rake it and take it, and I started doing that, man. I just started trying. It was out of desperation, bro. It was out of desperation.
Hey, Clark, you know Bobby had a 50-point game in college. Bobby Franklin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know he can fill it up. He can fill it up, man.
I'm telling you, man, wow. 50?
Well, Clark,
way before the three-point line.
That's right.
Without a three-point.
Way before the three-point line. Yeah.
Well, Clark, my mindset was always, if I'm gonna go down, I'm going down firing.
I hear that, bro.
Wow.
I hear that, man.
Wow.
I feel you on that one.
That mindset is huge. You know, real quick, I hadn't seen, me and Wade and I had grew up as young kids from elementary school. And then, he went to the pros and did real well. And when I seen him 30 years later, I asked him, I said, Wade, how you get into football? He told me his story. So I asked him this question. When you went to your first summer camp with the Dallas Cowboys, who was coming off a Super Bowl season, and you was there with Tony Dorsett and Roger Staubach. I mean, the whole team, Too Tall Jones was Hall of Famers. I said, what was your mindset when you went to camp? Because them guys was driving Rolls Royces, 500 Benzes, and you had a hoopty. And you know what he said to me, Clark? I said, what was your mindset? He said his mindset was this when he walked in there. I hope you guys don't pay up your premiums. that's some Cleveland stuff, man. See that mindset, man.
Oh man, that is priceless, there, boy.
Hey, let's. What about our leader, Everett? Everett, you still there or what, man? What you doing?
Oh, absolutely. I'm here. Yeah, I ain't going nowhere.
Wow. Hey, Everett, let me ask you this. What was your thoughts when you started to establish relationships with Clark even before he went to college? Because we know relationships is everything. That's that who piece.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I had to lean on that because, as you said, I mean, he was the next Magic and the first LeBron, and I was this guy out of San Francisco who hadn't represented a player at all, and he had IMG, that's Mark McCormick, and who was it? They had Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer and Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
They had everybody out of North Carolina and Georgetown, Michael Jordan and Allen Iverson, and then George Andrews had Magic.
Right. And he had Herb. He had Herb Williams too. He had Herb, who was a teammate and a good friend of mine. Yeah.
So I was trusting God before I knew, right? Because the only way that happened is because of God, you know. And he set it up for a purpose that I didn't understand at the time, because he would later take me to Christ, Clark would, just from watching his lifestyle. And watching him grow and develop, and this man, he saved my life. You know that he came to me and he showed me what God could do if you let him in your life, and I let him in, and the rest is, Darius would say, it's history.
Oh yeah, man. Well, I see the similarity. You know, when Jesus picked the disciples, come on, man, he didn't go to Wall Street.
That's right, man. That's right, bro.
You in good company, Everett. Come on.
Yes, he is.
You made a good choice, Clark.
Yeah, man. Oh yeah, man.
Hey, Clark, that's all of us on this call, because most of us are from the inner city, right? And and whoever would have thought 30 years ago that we would be sitting on a call with basically Cleveland folks, hearing and speaking into these, empowering these young guys to embrace a different paradigm that has been causing pain in our people for years, and folks looking for the answer, Clark. But we know from just listening to you that the answer is that we're trying to fight this battle with the wrong equipment. See what I'm saying? You know, you call it God. We in the business, we say, hey, your philosophy is going to be the foundation to whatever else you do. And so that's very important, because if your philosophy is morally based, then that to me is the only thing that can sustain you. Because again, even if you get there, how you gonna stay there? As you found out, 5 years. Most folks, that means you're gonna go do some drugs, you're gonna throw in the towel and everything. But because of that foundation, you were saying, hey, you know what? Greatness is my mandate, and it's gonna be great over here. Even if I sweep the streets, I'm sweeping so good, somebody in a plane in Columbus come to Cleveland, see me sweeping.
Yeah, man. Yes, sir. Amen.
I got a question.
A question, yes, sir.
So how did you feel when all of those colleges asked you to come to our college?
Oh, being recruited was phenomenal, young fella. What's your name, by the way? I was trying to see.
Gabriel.
Gabriel, okay. How old are you?
I'm 12.
12, so you're 6th grade, 7th grade?
8th grade.
8th, okay. All right, when will you be 13? Oh, okay, so you're ahead of the game. Yeah, you're ahead of the game based on age. Good for you. Yeah, good for you, man. But anyway, yeah, I felt great. I felt great. Obviously, when you play and you do well, those coaches are looking at you and giving you a chance to go to their school, have it all paid for. I felt great. It was part of my deal was I wanted to be good and I wanted to be able to play college basketball. And as I got better in high school and continued to move up the ranks, it got me that attention. But it felt good. It was exciting. It was fun to be recruited, but I never really, but my folks mainly wouldn't let me get too full of myself about it. I still had chores to do. I still had responsibilities in school, in high school, and I still had expectations on how I was supposed to carry myself, humbly, try to do the right thing, be a good teammate. But the fact that my hard work was paying off and that I was having these choices with some of the best schools and basketball programs in the country certainly made me feel good. Made me feel good.
Wow.
And his dad, his dad would always tell me, he said, Clark, man, I could have had a horse. Go to Kentucky.
Oh, man.
Hey,
Mr.
Clark.
Mr. Kellogg.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second, young man. Let me tell Clark who my mother was. So my rookie year at Dallas, I just made the team and we played the Browns on Monday Night Football in Cleveland.
Uh-huh.
And the day of the game, Coach Landry gave me permission to go and just visit with my family because we had a party the night before on Sunday. All my teammates came out there. But the food was so good at the party that Tony Dorsett and Ron Springs wanted to come back with me early on Monday before we played that night. So I went home. We took the rapid transit from the terminal tower downtown all the way to the last stop. I lived at the last stop at Warrensville Center Road.
Okay,
And then we walked up the street to the house. So we get to the house and my mom said, hey, and she called me by my nickname, Bird. She said, hey, Bird, I need you to go to the store and get me this, this, and this. And when you come back, can you take the garbage out? So they went to the store with me. They said, hey, man, don't your mama know you a Dallas Cowboy? she still got you running errands. I looked at them and I said, hey, man, that's my mother.
Yes, sir.
I do it. She's proud that I'm a Dallas Cowboy, but she don't give a dang that I'm a Dallas Cowboy.
Right,
she needs cigarettes, she needs this, she needs that. Wash the car and take that garbage out. And cut my grass while you here.
No, that's real talk there, man.
And Marvin knows that's who she is.
Wow, no, that's good stuff. Well, that's how my folks work too, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So who the kids had a question?
Mr. Kellogg.
Yeah.
Okay, so I still got a couple more questions.
Okay.
Okay, so so I know you did some NBA games and you also did some college games. I know you probably like the NCAA games better, but I'm going to ask you anyway. What do you more enjoy, I guess?
I enjoyed both. When I was doing the Pacer games, I loved being part of the NBA broadcasting family, and the Pacers were a terrific organization. I mean, I lived over there the years that I played, and then we stayed until 1993. I was drafted in '82. We lived there for 9 years, made a lot of friends, and I loved that organization. So I saw some great seasons of the Pacers. Reggie Miller was drafted the summer that I had to retire, which was August of '87 is when I retired. Reggie was drafted in July. I never got to play with Reggie, but I covered his entire career as a broadcaster. So I got to see his career high 57-point game, a ton of unbelievable playoff moments where I was courtside, and being around those guys at practices and in games was phenomenal. So I loved it. I mean, I'm not one that says you have to hate one game to love the other. I enjoy both the college and the pro game. They're different. They're different. The college game, because of the nature of it and the tournament, has a level of excitement. I mean, it's one of the great sporting events, the tournament, that I think is on the calendar. People will argue, but NCAA March Madness for 3 weeks is really as good as it gets because of the unpredictability, the level of play. I mean, there's so many elements that make it a special sporting event. And to have the privilege of being able to be either at the studio desk or courtside calling that and being part of that event is special. So where I am now, college basketball has been the bulk of my broadcasting journey, and the tournament is just so special that it takes college hoops to the top for me personally. If I had to choose one or the other, it would be college, and that's where I've been. But I'm glad I got a chance to do as much NBA as I did on the local level. I didn't do any of the national Turner or ESPN stuff at the NBA level, but for me, broadcasting the college game has been my favorite. Yeah.
Wow.
Right. I just thought of this one right now. During the times right now, you know how the commentators during the game are actually I don't even know exactly they're not on the court right now.
Right.
They're kind of in like
they're kind of bubbled. They're kind of bubbled up. Yep, they're in the bubble.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think you could have handled that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. No problem. Yeah. No problem. I mean, it's different.
You're just missing
it's
that
not
aspect.
The normal.
Right.
Yeah. It's not the norm, but we're not in normal times. I mean, the coronavirus pandemic is real, and it's creating all kinds of disruption for all of us on various levels. And I'm thankful the games are back. They're able to play. We get to watch them. And those are the conditions. But I wouldn't have had any trouble adjusting to that. Maybe being in that bubble for the time that they have to be in there would have been a bit of a challenge. But the games itself, no. And even being in there, I mean, once you commit to that being what you've got to do, then you find a way to get your mind and heart around what you do.
Right.
And then you try to make sure you do it at the highest level that you can. But so yeah, I'm sure if I needed to, I would have been able. If I was in that situation, I would have been able to adjust appropriately.
Clark, you know, it's very important that the young guys realize. You say you started this broadcasting career at the bottom, which you say was Cleveland State. Now, you know, I was their team builder down there like 15 years. So I remember I tried to get you to come in, but they gave me the blues about,
Really? Yeah, but anyway, you know, when I say I started to be, that was just because it was local versus national.
Yeah. See, I thought I was at the top of the mountain.
You were. Broadcasting, it was local versus regional or national.
If you think about it, some 15 years ago, you had a son that Adidas invited to Columbus to play what they said was the top 5th, 6th, or 7th graders in the country. Remember, I was the trainer there.
Yes.
Hey, I sold you one of them tapes I made in my mother's living room, The Game of Life.
Yes.
Hey, Clark, you better hold on to that tape.
Hey, I've gotten the real deal right here. I've gotten the real deal from you today, man. I don't need that tape.
Yeah, man, come on. So Cleveland State, for all of us, is dear to our heart because it has been a foundation for a lot of folks. But my point was this, that you can start, it doesn't matter where you start, what matters is where you end up. And I attempt to close most of my sessions by telling guys that the difference between a big shot and a little shot is only that a big shot is just a little shot that kept shooting.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I just hope the guys understand it don't matter if you're on JV, it don't matter if you go to a D3 school, because especially now, they're gonna find you anywhere.
That's right.
You got to give it all you got, and as Mr. Franklin said, if we're going down, go down and shoot. Right.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's real talk. Yeah, that's good.
51 points. You get 51 points, not shoot.
What'd you say, Everett?
I said, Clark, we taking some of Bishop's things. You be saying them on the broadcast, right?
Oh yeah, man. Hey, I need it.
Hey, if it fits, I'll find a way to force it in there, bro.
Hey, come on, man. Hey, we appreciate you though, man.
But we have one more question before we go. Somebody's been trying. Kennan was Bogart. And so somebody else had a question. Who was that had a question? Was that Natty Ice? Who was that?
Teamwork.
Who had a question? I thought, who was that, Kenny? You know who it was?
I think it was Jordan, right?
Jordan?
Oh, yeah, Jordan had a question.
I have a question too.
Okay, speak up.
All right. So my name is Immanuel. I'm 17.
Okay.
I'm a junior. I play basketball, and I'm going to be either a sports analyst or be working in that sports medicine field.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a question, since you're a sports broadcaster, some type of way I can get connected with you so I can learn some stuff, or how I go about that.
That's perfect. Actually, are you in touch with Mr. Glenn?
Yeah.
He'll connect you. He'll connect you to me.
Okay.
Yep, he'll connect you to me by email, and you can shoot me an email, and then we can converse, and I'll be happy to help you any way I can, Immanuel.
All right. Thank you.
Manny made a move. He made a move at the camp 2 years ago, long guy. He never seen nobody else play.
Really?
He went behind his back. He threw the ball between the guy's legs that was guarding him and went around and got the ball.
Hey, they come with a lot in their package now, Everett. These guys have a lot in their package, and they're getting a lot of it earlier, too. A lot of it earlier.
Yeah. Anybody else got any questions? Speak up.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about how was your experience in being in a video game?
Off the charts, young fella. That's Jordan?
Yeah, because I thought I heard your voice before, because I play video games. I love video games. And I'm like, his voice sounds familiar. And
yeah. Well, let me tell you how that happens, man. I'll give you just a quick behind the scenes look. Because I do NBA, I've done NBA and I've done college basketball, the folks that put together the game, 2K Sports, were looking for real live announcers to do the announcing. And so because I had a good reputation, one, for being good at what I did, but more importantly, because I was good to work with in all of the different places that I've worked, that's something that's followed me, is that I'm good to work with. I'm a good teammate. So they reached out to me 10 years ago because there was somebody else they were looking to have do it who just wasn't available. But my reputation helped me get the opportunity. And then once I did a really good job with the game. And we do it in studios. I used to have to travel to California to the studio. That's where 2K is located. But in the last 7 years, this was my 11th year doing the game. In the last 7 years, we've actually done it in the studio here in Columbus. I go into a studio. This room is no bigger than where I'm sitting right now. I have a microphone. They've got a screen, a computer screen, and they've got scripts. And then I just kind of read them as if I was calling that particular situation. And then sometimes, Jordan, they'll play Kevin Harlan or Greg Anthony or one of the other announcers, Doris Burke. They'll play them in my ear as if they're there so I can respond to them as if they are there. It's a really cool process. And then somebody takes all of those audio files. There are thousands of them. I do 25 to 30 hours every summer to get ready for the game that just dropped yesterday. I think that the new game just dropped.
2K21.
Yeah, 2K21 just dropped yesterday. So I got done with my recording pretty much in May and June. I would do 3 hours at a time, no more than that, until I got my 25 or 27 hours done. And then they take those files, they take Kevin's files, they take Greg's files, and then the programmers put them into the game where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
I don't play the game, but whenever I listen to my sons playing it, if I'm watching the game and I'm commentating it, in my head, what's in my head when I'm watching the video game comes out of my mouth. It comes out of my mouth because I'm watching it, and that's exactly what I would say if I was calling the game. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. But we do it all in a studio now, and I'm rarely with the other announcers because of technology.
Yeah.
They've gotten it so refined that they can just play them in my ear, and I can respond to them as if I'm talking right next to them. And people love the game, and I get all kinds of NBA guys, college guys, many of them know me more from that than they do certainly from me playing, because I played a long time ago, and some of them know me from the college announcing. But there's a lot of kids and video gamers that know me solely from the game.
Yeah.
So, Clark, what advice would you have? Well, two-pronged question. What advice would you have for Jordan Simmons? Jordan is from the Motor City, right? He's a Detroit kid who moved out here to California. So he's close to Cleveland. And would you have been able to do what you've done in your life if you worked hard sometime and then stop working hard and then work hard again and then stop working hard? Because Jordan is an A student, right? But Jordan, I ain't trying to embarrass you, Jordan, but this is how we roll. You got a chance. What would you have for Jordan, who's got the world of potential, but he just want to turn it on and turn it off, you know?
Hey, well, I would just encourage him to establish the habit of keeping it on.
Habit, there you go.
Just to keep it on, that's all. Because I read a book a long time ago, and it's about the principle of reaping and sowing. When we sow thoughts, we get actions.
That's right.
When we sow actions, we get habits. And when we sow habits, we get characteristics.
That's right.
So when we think about things, we usually do them. And if we do them over and over again, it becomes a habit. And if it becomes a habit, it becomes part of us. So you want the habit of working hard to be part of how you roll all the time. You don't want that to be something that is occasional. Now, hey, there are times when you got to go over and above. There are times when you can back down a little bit, but your consistent level of working hard is important to establish. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes because it becomes part of you. So I would just encourage you to keep that knob turned on and up, because the more you do it, the easier it gets to do that all the time. If you keep going back and forth a little, really hard, somewhat hard, and back and forth, then it becomes easier to stay in that mode of operating too.
Yeah, because somebody could be watching Jordan just like they was watching you, right? And they was watching you, and they saw what you was doing, and they liked Jordan. If they watch you at the wrong time, it could be a wrap.
Yeah, that's right. You want to be consistently trying to put your best foot forward, man.
Yeah, that goes for all the guys on the call, not just
Jordan. For sure. Oh yeah, that's universal.
Right.
Yep.
That's right. Wow.
Well, let me say something before we shake out, man. I know Everett had reached out to me a while ago about joining the call, and man, I tell you, I've gotten far more than I've given. Quite honestly, I mean, hearing Wade's story and Bobby's, and hearing your words, Marvin, and then just hanging out with Everett and those on it. But and that's God's economy. I mean, when you oftentimes avail yourself to others, there's more in it for you than you think. And not that I wasn't expecting it to be rich, but it's just such an encouragement, one, to know what you guys are doing for these young folks and trying to impact them and move them in the right direction. But then just to have the dialogue and to be able to share and hear stories that really encourage and edify us all, man. So I'm grateful and glad that I was able to be on today, and really appreciate all of you guys, and what I learned has been rich and a blessing.
Right. All right. We take that. You can sign off. We're gonna still chop it up a little bit with these guys, because we just go till they say stop.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. But man, I appreciate
Clark.
you guys. And, Wade, Bobby, love you guys, man.
Right.
Hey, Clark, you make us proud, man. You make us proud.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I got to represent at all times, first the uncreated creator, and then those who are part of the fabric of my journey. So I'm trying to do it the right way.
Hey, Clark, a quick question before you go. Is Kelvin Ramsey around anywhere?
You know what? He actually is pastoring down in Mississippi. I've only seen him a couple of times since we played together. But he's been ministering and pastoring, I think, down in Mississippi. He's come back a couple of times for some captains' dinners that we have annually, and I don't always make those because of my broadcast schedule, but
Right.
I think he's doing well, and I think he's I don't do Facebook much, but I've seen a couple of his posts on Facebook. But he's down south as last I knew.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. And is Herb still coaching?
No, Herb is probably retired. You know, he was doing the WNBA for a while. The last couple of years, they got let go in New York, and he's got a place down in Florida. But I talk to Herb usually once, a couple of times a summer, and actually hung out with him last summer. He's doing fine. He's doing well.
Yeah.
And in good health. He's doing good. Yeah, those guys are. Yeah, that's because you came down in '76, Wade.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you were a little bit before me.
Yeah, spring of '75. I transferred from John Carroll University to Ohio State.
Okay, all right.
In the spring of '75.
Okay, yep. And I came down the autumn of '79, so you were already getting ready to step away.
Yeah. I graduated December of '78.
Okay, yep. There you go. Yep, right before I got down there. Then, yeah, man. But great to be on with you guys, man.
All right, take care.
Hey, take care.
All right.
Take care of yourself.
Yep, you guys do the same.
Hey, Clark.
Thank you.
You know, I think we can close with this one though. There was a time long ago I heard you say something. A player was going to the basket and he had a great move, but he missed. And you said something that you got to finish it, right? And you talked about your parents taught you that when you wash the dishes, you had to wash them dry and put them away.
That's me. That's the kind of stuff I love to throw out there, man. Because it's stuff people can relate to.
Yeah, they can relate with that. I'm in. All right. All right, Clark.
Man, you guys take care.
All right.
Take care. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right, Clark.
Thank you.
Wow.
He'll be talking because I gave him the bump and grand, right? He used that bump and grand a lot on it, so he'll be using the big 7, the little 7. Just keep on shooting. Listen for it, Marvin.